We have dealt with a number of people who were over leveraged, but I think that's few and far between. I don't know. These things get picked up sometimes. I like better dwelling. I think it's like reading an Archie comic book, though. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. Today, we're going through the headlines. We're going through betterdwelling.com's headlines. Let's see what they predict and let's see where we can dispel some myth, talk some truth, and let's look behind the curtain. What happens when you look behind the curtains? Well, sometimes you see who's swimming naked, or most people showering. Anyways, let's get into it. So, this week's Canadian real estate is a systematic risk and further rate hikes expected. Okay, everyone expects rates to be cut, so they're just climbing even higher. Okay, Canadian real estate is once again inflationary, reinforces need for hikes. Okay, 4 reasons Canada real estate bubble is a systematic banking risk. So you see how they play on each other, right? You got one article up there, they keep perpetuating this. You know, if you read enough, yeah, you're going to believe, right? You're going to become a believer. Canada's bank regulator moves to tighten credit as impaired loans surge. Canadian real estate correction not over, rising sales temporary, Oxford Economic. By the way, whenever I go on Oxford Economics, I can't, some of the articles I find, but their data is not so great. So let's just dig into this a little bit here. Canada's bank regulator, which is OSFI, Office of Superintendent of Financial Institutions, raised the domestic stability buffer, target 50 basis points to 3.5 of risk-weighted assets. That's a bit of a mouthful, huh? So banks subject to the buffer, which is the big banks, not credit unions or anything like that, because they don't apply to these things, will have until November 1st to get it done. This comes after a similar size increase. So when you hear this, then the banks are making their announcement, you know, this isn't a surprise to them. They're already holding back more money for credit loss default possibilities, right? So they're holding money saying, hey, we think some of the loans we made are going to go bad, and therefore we're setting aside this money to pay for that already. I honestly don't think that this is going to change much right now, but basically what this is intended to do is to slow down the rotation of money, the money supply building, and that will be deflationary, right? Because the less money out there to go buy homes or to buy cars or whatever that is, well, the less money people will spend. So it's saying that obviously decreased loans, Canada's over-leveraged household and rising delinquencies contributed to this decision. Impaired loans surge. Okay, they don't give me any numbers on that. We can Google that right quick. Let's Google mortgage default Canada. So, okay, here we go. We have the numbers. This is March 31st, 2023. So yes, some more rate hikes have come in. So Atlantic Canada, 0.24% of all mortgages are in arrears. 0.24. Quebec, 0.11. Ontario, which is obviously our biggest housing market, 0.07. People are making their payment. Manitoba, 0.28, Saskatchewan 0.60, Alberta 0.35, British Columbia 0.11, and apparently in the territories nobody is defaulting on their mortgage for a grand total of 0.15%. Does that sound like I'm just looking behind the curtains here? What's the high? Oh, impaired loan surge. I'm just see, these things just make me wonder sometimes. That's all. Okay, so again, no data. Perfect. Moving on. 4 reasons real estate bubble is systematic banking risk. Okay, let's dig into this. About 1 in 4 mortgages have remaining amortizations of 35 years or longer at the 5 biggest banks, as per their Q2 2023 filings. And yes, I don't know if you have a variable interest rate, you have probably seen your mortgage rate increase, like your payment, to actually make it so you're not an interest-only payment. I know that on a couple of mine where I was ahead because low interest rates really drove that. I haven't even seen an increase yet. They haven't made an increase in anything. So removing the ability may cause default rates and downward pressure on home price. I think in Ontario, at least, we're going to see downward home prices for a little bit. Gross debt service. Oh, yeah. So they're paying more than government says should be your shelter cost. Okay, so affordability is going down. We're going to look at that, by the way. Nearly 1/3 of mortgage borrowers are over leveraged. Okay, you bought in February 2022. You probably are not underwater on your house, but you may or may not have a mortgage close to what the house is worth now. We have dealt with a number of people who were over leveraged, but I think that's few and far between. I don't know. These things get picked up sometimes. I like Better Dwelling. I think it's like reading an Archie comic book, though. Real estate, once again, inflationary. Yeah, we had 2 months there where, it was hot again. Nobody was listing their house. We had a lot of buyers, but it's not like that now. I think real estate prices are falling again. At least in Ontario, from what I've seen. And, the latest rate hikes really kicked that in the teeth, and a lot of buyers left the market. So I think it's a day late, a dollar short. Everyone expects rates to be cut, so they're climbing even higher. I don't know. Most people I talk to nowadays expect rates to go higher by the end of the year. I do have a bet with my buddy Harsh. He thinks that they're going to increase in July. I say I think they're going to hold in July and go in September for rate hikes. But, time will tell, and one of us will get a delicious lunch on the other one. So let's look at affordability. So they say 39% should be, that's considered affordable. So 39% of your income in this, they're taking after tax. So this isn't pre-tax, you're taking after tax income. So in Red Deer, Alberta, it takes 25.86% of your after tax income. Regina, Saskatchewan, 26.94, so 27%. Brandon, Manitoba, almost 28. Edmonton, 30%. Saskatoon, 31. Yeah, it's just not affordable. Look at these after-tax incomes here. How do people afford to live out there? Wow. All right, let's talk about they say Eastern Canada, but they're really talking about Ontario. Thunder Bay, 30%. Yeah, that's not bad. St. John's, Newfoundland, 31%. Moncton, New Brunswick, still relatively affordable at 33%. And these are with relatively low after-tax income, right? Sudbury, Ontario, 40%. Charlottetown, PEI, 44%. Windsor, 54%. So this is where we start to get into, is this a Canadian housing issue, or is this really a Ontario, maybe obviously BC issue? Kingston, Ontario, which has been affordable for years, 55%. London, 63%. Waterloo, Kitchener-Waterloo, 64%. Ottawa, 65%. Hamilton, 76%. Barrie, 77%. You tell me, right? You see these headlines, and it's like, and I understand why. Let's scare the whole country because there's 40 million people here now that live in Canada. Or, we can't just write it for the, 15 million that live in Ontario. That would be nonsense. Who would do that? Anyways, it's so funny though. You talk to, I was at a family gathering, my parents' 50th wedding anniversary yesterday, and I'm talking to people I haven't seen for 40 years, and they know I'm in real estate, and they're talking about this and that. Yes, I was probably 5 years old last time I saw them. Yet, they're like, how do our kids buy houses? And then they always said, when we were that age, people said the same thing. And when their kids are kind of my age, we said the same thing because interest rates were high or whatever, right? It's going to be like that for every generation. But, and again, there are affordable places to live. They might just not live in Toronto, Oakville. It's like that, right? I know a lot of people born in Oakville that now live in Burlington. People born in Burlington couldn't afford it, so they moved to Hamilton. Hamilton maybe moved to Niagara or out to Simcoe or, a little bit farther out, right? This is kind of the progression. And, what is it? Are we all just going to move to Alberta? Maybe. Maybe that's the key, right? It's affordable to live out there. You can buy a house and afford to live. You can go on your vacations, you can go on and do these things. It has a pretty high standard of living. All right, guys. So what have we determined from this short little video on betterdwelling.com? Well, they have sensational headlines that are not backed by facts. I would love to get the editor of betterdwelling.com on here and I'd love to have that conversation with them. I'd love it. So if anybody has that connection, hook me up. If you're not following me on Instagram, head over there. We do post daily on there, and we'd love to connect with you. And that's the best way to get a hold of me is to DM me there. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. You have a great day. Talk to you soon.